And welcome into the Wheelhouse here, Elevation 5280 Sports and Lifestyle. Every Sunday morning, we are with you. And filling in for Matt this morning is Nick Archuleta. You can catch him on Undrafted, Uncensored, about, Nick, 2-3 times a week you guys do a show. So make sure make sure you hit up all our social media and you can see all of those updates and podcasts. They're all live on there, so go check that out. Nick, how are you this morning?
Oh, surviving. I've had a head cold pushing me around the last week, so just trying to assert my dominance and show that little bug that I win.
Yeah, I had something catch on yesterday and woke up, couldn't breathe, sinus headache. It's fun. It's that fun time. It's that fun time of year.
Yeah, that's about what I had Monday and Tuesday. I had such a bad sinus headache, I couldn't even get out of bed.
Yeah, it sucks. So I've been living on day and night quill for the last 48 hours. So that's chugging emergency, and that's we just go about our business apparently.
Yeah, we're tougher than that.
Yeah. And what's tough is what is going to be bigger than the game coming up later today, and that is, of course, will we get in trouble if we say the actual name, or do we have to say the big game? I think it's the internet.
I've been saying what it is. So, worst case scenario, I get a little slap on the hand from somebody, but I don't.
Who does the hand? Is it the FCC? Is it the Super Bowl send out their own? Do they send out their own police?
Bring it.
Yeah.
I'm down. I'm down.
There you go. So it is Super Bowl 58, obviously, between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs going for back-to-back titles, and the 49ers are going for their first Super Bowl win since when, Nick? Is it the
Steve Young?
Steve Young, yeah. I don't want to say it was when they whooped the Broncos, but it
wasn't that.
They had one after that.
Yeah. Early 90s?
Sure. I mean, it's been as long as since the Cowboys have been bragging they won, so we have that to look forward to. Obviously, later today we'll get it in all the prop bets. 95?
95.
Okay, so that's their last one. And, I mean, they obviously are ranked up there with, I think they have 5 total, so they're up there with the top go-getters of the Vince Lombardi Trophy. Obviously, Nick just poked fun at my jersey hanging behind me, and so, but we'll get into all the funny prop bets that you can also bet on this game. You putting any money down?
I don't know. I'll probably look at it after I get out of work tomorrow and see what there is. The lines a lot of the lines keep moving. I'm probably gonna regret not taking some of these lines, but I mean, as much as everything's changing right now, I'm gonna wait till tomorrow when it gets a little more close to game time.
Yeah, I was looking at it a little bit earlier, and I want to say I forgot the spread was, but they were good looking numbers as far as when I just looked at it. So maybe it'll move between now and then, but yeah, definitely jump on that. The spread's only 1.5, so I don't know if you're taking that or leaving that. That's that's pretty over under total points though, 47.5. Buying that?
That seems doable. I mean, an over seems doable with these two offenses. If they can poke holes in their opposing defense, I can see a 60 spot up there.
There you go. All right, so we will get into the Super Bowl here in just a few moments. We will also go over the new additions to the Football Hall of Fame. We'll get into all the NFL awards as well that just happened a couple nights ago. And, of course, we will overview the NBA trade deadline as well. Not a lot of movement, some movement, some – I wouldn't say there was any really big names that got shipped elsewhere, but pretty recognizable names are – we'll start off with the NBA trade deadline, Nick. Again, if you're local here in Denver, obviously you know that the Denver Nuggets stood pat once again. They did not make any moves. Maybe could have used somebody in that Sacramento Kings game the other night, but that was one of those anomalies, Nick, where they almost just I don't want to say took the night off. I still haven't read why MPJ didn't play. Did you ever catch that? Why he didn't play?
No, I missed that part myself. Actually, I was prepping for a doubleheader basketball game today, so I was kind of in and out of the game already anyway. But uh, it was just one of those strange things that maybe it's the timing too. I think I did hear his brother pled guilty in his case, so
So
maybe
maybe
that
for
might
some
have played
reasons,
into it a little bit.
yeah. I was just wondering why we didn't hear anything because
Yeah.
I was looking at FanDuel obviously to play some bets on the game, and I didn't see. I think I saw MPJ, and I did it like maybe a half hour, 20 minutes before the game. Didn't see him out of the lineup, so it must have been super super last minute. So, um, yeah, that was kind of weird to see. But some of the, I guess, most recognizable names that got moved at the trade deadline, the Pacers are shipping out Buddy Hield. They sent him to Philadelphia. Marcus Morris was in that trade. 76ers also, Nick, just picked up Kyle Lowry last night. He got bought out by the Charlotte Hornets, and he signs a 1-year, 2.6, I think, $1 million deal with the
Oh wow.
Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, he's way past his prime. He is an older vet now, and he's from Philadelphia, so I guess why not finish out your career with the 76ers?
Yeah, I mean, no better place than to try and go home and um, just finish yourself out. I mean, the Sixers are still good. They do have a chance to win that Eastern Division still. I mean, take it if they're going to give it to you.
Exactly. The Oklahoma City Thunder acquired Gordon Hayward from the Charlotte Hornets for Trey Mann, Davis Bertrand. So Gordon Hayward, who was given big money once upon a time by the Charlotte Hornets, and then he went through a knee injury, has battled injuries his entire career after leaving Utah. That deal from Charlotte, Nick, a couple years ago was, it was gigantic at the time, especially a guy who's been injury prone, and then he gets that big deal, gets hurt again, sat out a year, and he gets shipped out of Charlotte. He goes to Oklahoma City if he's healthy, and that's a good vet to kind of mix in with the OKC team.
As I say, that's a young team that needs a little bit more of that long in the tooth kind of guy, and a guy that even on the bench if he's injured, he'll always be kind of one of those what if guys. You see him get those big contracts, and you just couldn't stay on the court.
Yeah, so we will see what happens with the OKC Thunder. I know the Western Conference, the top 4 and 5 is a little bit crowded. Each team separated by only a half game or a full game right now as it stands. One of the bigger trades, and a lot of people saying the New York Knicks won the trade deadline. They acquire Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic from the Detroit Pistons, and the Knicks will ship out Quentin Grimes, Malachi Flynn, Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier, man, that guy, I don't think I've seen him on a basketball court in like 4 years. And they get also two second round picks as well. And also you can go to e5280sports.com. One of our sports writers, Andrew Murillo, he just posted a couple of the winners of the NBA trade deadline. So go check that out as well. That was just posted. And do you agree? The Knicks, one of the teams that won the trade deadline, and not too long ago, they got, I'm going to butcher it. The dude they got from Toronto. I'm not even going to attempt to say his name.
Yeah, but, I don't do it either.
Yeah, so they've gotten better. They're going, I don't want to say all out for lack of a better term, but Knicks are making moves.
They're trying to get back to that Knicks of old. And they've kind of been a laughing stock a little bit here and there. And you got to try and do something to get rid of that taste of Carmelo out of your mouth.
Yeah, and I'm just waiting for someone on the Knicks who's going to be like a Hall of Fame type player to wear number 7, and then that number debate happens in New York. But you just need Julius Randle to step up. Obviously, Jalen Brunson has been outstanding this year in MVP consideration for the New York Knicks, and you need a guy like Mitchell Robinson to get healthy and step up, stuff like that. So look out for the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference. I know everyone always says the East is kind of below the West, but there's some teams that can give a Western team a run for their money.
They're sneaky. There's a couple teams out there that are sneaky, and they can, if you don't take them seriously enough, and especially in the NBA Finals, they can blow past you.
There it is. And the Charlotte Hornets, they made moves all day long as well. The other day at the trade deadline, they'll send PJ Washington to the Dallas Mavericks for Grant Williams. I'll get into Grant Williams here. Seth Curry, that was kind of a cool moment. Kind of two stories from this. We'll start with Seth Curry. He came out or maybe it was Friday, his first game in Charlotte. His dad, by the way, calls the games. He's the color guy for the Charlotte Hornets TV broadcast, Del Curry. And Seth Curry came out wearing number 30 like his dad wore in Charlotte. So it was kind of a cool moment for his dad to see his son, the lesser known son, still to wear number 30 in a Charlotte uniform, and kind of a full circle moment for his dad. So that was kind of cool.
That's awesome. Anything you can do to, show your dad how much you appreciate them, and at the same time, make dad feel proud. That's all we love in life.
And not only the lesser known Curry, but obviously Steph Curry has played in Golden State for, 15 plus years, his entire career. Seth Curry's kind of a journeyman. He's been on a few different teams, made a lot of stops in his NBA journey. Still a really good shooter, though. So he goes to Charlotte. I thought Charlotte, Nick, would be one of those. You just talked about sneaky teams. I thought Charlotte would be one of those sneaky teams. I don't want to call them the Oklahoma City Thunder of the East, but I thought they were going to be one of those young and up-and-coming teams with a Gordon Hayward, obviously, with that vet mixed in. So he goes from the Hornets to the Thunder we just talked about. But I thought the Hornets, with some of these young guys like a PJ Washington were going to make some noise in the East. Turns out, I guess Charlotte's taken that, or not Charlotte, I guess Orlando's kind of taken that mantle, that young team, just kind of making a little bit of noise in the East. Magic have kind of, I guess, come to earth, so to speak, and are kind of leveling out. But I thought Charlotte was going to be that sneaky team in the East.
Yeah, they had a lot of potential. And like you said, they're a young, up-and-coming. They had that chance to be like the Thunder of the East. And they, for whatever reason, just have not put it together. And maybe this trade will be something that will kind of spark them a little bit and start pushing them up the rankings a little bit.
So these
wins on the season that's a rough season.
Yeah. And the second story that I want to touch on, Grant Williams, they said he left a, quote, bad taste in people's mouth or rubbed people the wrong way in Dallas. And I don't know if you saw this, Nick. This came out, and it said that during a game in the locker room or something, Grant Williams took off his Luka's shoes, I guess, and put back on his Jason Tatum signature shoes. Obviously, Grant Williams was shipped off from Boston to Dallas last year in the offseason, whenever that was. And obviously used to play with Jason Tatum. He becomes Luka's teammate, and then he switched shoes from Luka's back to Tatum's, and literally 12 hours later, he gets traded.
Jeez. I can't see how you can rub somebody the wrong way. I see nothing there that's...
Unless it was Luka's. Luka's like, really? You're taking off my shoes? Because we all know he runs that franchise, right? Do we know that?
Oh, without a doubt. That's, wow, that's... All right, cool. I didn't see that.
I think I literally LOL'd when I saw that.
Oh man, that's too funny. I don't know. Some guys, man, some of these basketball players are so childish sometimes. Insane.
Yeah, well, you see the way they complain after no call or a call. So yeah. I would assume that switching shoes from one guy to another is what would happen if he put on Giannis's? Would anybody have traded him? Or what if he put on some of Kobe's shoes?
Oh, Kobe would have come out from his grave and taken them off him.
There you go. At this point, if just wear like regular Jordans or regular whatever brand you want to wear. Don't wear anybody's signature shoe. Maybe that's all. Yeah, maybe that's all. That's what we can learn from this.
Yeah, hey, Feel is still around.
There you go. Go get some Jamal Murray. Go get some Jamal Murray New Balances, and you'll be fine. Or some Aaron Gordon 3.6. What are they? 3.61s or whatever that Chinese brand is.
Yeah, I don't know. I
By
can't
the way,
keep track of these two contracts.
KCP joined that as well. So it'll be Jokic, Aaron Gordon, and KCP with that Chinese. But I know it ends in like 361 or 3. I think it's 361 degrees. Not to be confused with 98 Degrees, the boy band.
All right.
But if they wanted to, they could start a boy. That's a pretty good trio.
That's
KCP, Aaron Gordon, and Joker.
Yeah, that's I mean, got a little bit of everything for everyone.
Yeah, so there you go. Another kind of recognizable name. Toronto's obviously shipped a lot of people off during the season. They will trade Dennis Schroeder to the Brooklyn Nets, and Spencer Dinwiddie goes to Toronto. Toronto is buying out the contract of Dinwiddie. All indications point that Dinwiddie is going to sign with the Lakers, so we all enjoy that.
Oh,
yeah.
Of course, LeBron's got to get one more guy in there.
I don't know. They get all these big names, and it just doesn't seem to fit.
No.
I don't think anybody knew, and I'm not speaking for everyone, but I'm going to say I think everyone didn't know who even Rui Hachimura was before he got to the Lakers. I mean, granted, he played in Washington where all careers go to die in the first place. Yeah. So he became a Laker, and then remember last season during the Western Conference Finals, he was the Joker stopper, and still nobody could hold Joker's jockstrap during that series. And then, they bring in guys like Christian Wood and that Prince dude, and I don't know. They just seem to get all these big names, and it just doesn't seem to gel, doesn't seem to fit. I know LeBron and AD kind of make up for a lot of other guys' deficiencies, but even they're getting old enough to where the point is where they can't keep up. So I don't know.
But I think that's the problem is LeBron and AD try to fill so many different holes because they bring in their friends that, are these big time names that they're wearing themselves out. If you just let somebody else do the business end of it, you just go out there and play basketball. LeBron could probably have 5 more rings.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's just, were you surprised that the Lakers didn't make any moves at the trade deadline? Because I gave them credit last year because remember they were at the bottom of the Western Conference last year. They made those moves to get Hachimura and things like that, and they rose. They got hot late because of some of those moves, and they ended up in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, I was surprised that they didn't at least make one big move.
Yeah, they have the Jazz at bay right now, but I don't know. It's weird, like you said, that they didn't make at least some kind of move. And maybe they're waiting for a buyout somewhere a little bit later down the line where they can fill a different hole.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're doing with Spencer Dinwiddie. And I don't know whose minutes he's going to take. I would assume Prince's minutes, but Prince is kind of a long, sleek defender. He's a really good defender. His offensive game isn't there. And, I mean, you lost oh my God, I forgot his name. You lost Vanderbilt for the time being. He's out with an injury. So I guess you slide Prince back to the bench, make Dinwiddie. I don't know what they're going to do. It'll be interesting to see how another sort of quote-unquote big name fits into their system. So
yeah,
I would like to see just the train go off the rails completely. That would be my ultimate wish, but you never know with the Lakers. Another couple names that got dealt, Nick, was the Philadelphia 76ers. Speaking of them, they get campaign from the Milwaukee Bucks, and Patrick Beverley goes over to the Milwaukee Bucks. And a couple of side stories off of this. I don't know if you saw Patrick Beverley's tweet or X. Is it still called a tweet or an X now? I don't know. But yeah, he X'd out that he wants to play tonight. So tell campaign to go take his physical. And obviously, nobody can really suit up after a trade until, the other party takes their physical. And of course, Patrick Beverley's getting into it with Brook Lopez on the bench, pulls out a clipboard saying, dude, you're supposed to be over here. So classic Patrick Beverley stuff still going on wherever he goes. And then campaign made a 3-pointer yesterday in his 76ers debut. So I saw a lot of people's reaction to this trade, Nick, shipping Patrick Beverley off. I mean, he goes from one good Eastern team to another. So if you're Patrick Beverley, you're just like, I'll just go from Joel Embiid to Giannis, I guess, even though Joel Embiid is out. But he goes from one big man to another good big man. and I don't know. I read somewhere, Nick, that during Adrian Griffin's stint, I'm calling it a stint as head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, he never had a 1-5 stretch. And the first 6 games of Doc Rivers' career in Milwaukee, they're 1-5.
Oh, I don't know what it is about Doc. I feel like he just can't control a team. He kind of lets the inmates run the assignment, feels like sometimes, and everybody recognizes the name, so he kind of gets a little bit of a pass until the fans get tired of him.
I would assume that's the reason. I mean, he just obviously hasn't won a championship since that really good Boston team in the early 2000s. He's coached really good Clippers teams. He's coached really good 76ers teams, and he just can't get over the hill. And obviously starting out with Milwaukee has not been fruitful so far. They have obviously time to turn things around. So I don't know what the Milwaukee Bucks are going to do, this upcoming stretch down this final stretch of the season. But, they're a good Eastern Conference team. So I think they'll sort of figured it out. Obviously, Boston leads the pack. And how about the Cavaliers sneaking in? They overtook Milwaukee yesterday. Cleveland's won 9 in a row, by the way. So watch out for the Cavaliers. The top 6 in the East are Boston, Cleveland, Milwaukee. The New York Knicks pulled ahead of Philadelphia also. Okay. And then goes Philadelphia. Indiana slides into that 6th
They're still hanging around.
Yeah, Indiana. I mean, with all the moves they've made. And then in that play-in tournament round, it is Orlando, Miami, Chicago, and Atlanta. And then obviously on the outside looking in, Brooklyn, Toronto, Charlotte, Washington, and of course, Detroit, who only have 9 wins. Detroit might overtake Washington for the worst team in the league here pretty soon.
I mean, the good thing about Detroit is at least they have Little Caesars.
That's it.
Yeah, that's all I got.
So over in the Western Conference, again, the top 4 seeds are only separated by a half game. Minnesota is at the top spot as it sits right now. And then the Clippers, who have caught fire, they had won 8 in a row until the other day. And then Denver is in 3rd. They are a half game ahead of OKC, who's in 4th, and Sacramento slowly climbing up the ladder. And that 5th seed, and obviously Phoenix, will sit in that 6th seed as we sit right now. In the play-in tournament, it goes Pelicans, Mavericks, Lakers, Warriors, who have caught a little fire as well. They've won 4 in a row, so they're sitting in that play-in round. And then obviously on the outside looking in, Utah, Houston, Memphis, Portland, Spurs. The team that surprises me right now, Nick, is Houston. I thought they were going to be the sneaky team in the Western Conference, making all those moves. They got a young kind of team mixed in with some pretty good veterans. I thought that Fred VanVleet signing would be a little more fruitful for them. But again, and then they also have Baby Joker over there. And I thought they would be a little bit better than what they are. They're 23 and 29, still have time. They only sit 3 games behind the Warriors for that play-in 10th seed. But I thought the Rockets would be – they're my kind of surprise team that's not doing so well right now.
I think they're just put it together.
Yeah, and maybe they're still a year away.
Yeah. I mean, and, like you said with Baby Joker too, that's something you have to get used to. It's not something everybody's used to playing with. And that kind of mentality, it's a little bit different, and you kind of got to adjust your game to it. And it took the Nuggets a couple of years to kind of get him and Jamal on the same page. And once AG came over in that trade, it took him a little bit to get his footing with him too.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I mean, they're again a young team, and maybe they'll start to figure things out. I think that they'll make some noise, and like I said, maybe they're just a year away, and that could just be the case as well. So maybe get a couple more moves here this next off season. All right, it was the NFL honors the other night, Nick. I don't know if you sat down and watched this. Obviously, this is where they hand out all the awards from MVP to defensive and offensive rookies of the year, coach of the year. And I want to get your reaction to some of these. Obviously, the first Texan to win a rookie of the year, whether it's offensive or defensive, CJ Stroud takes home the offensive rookie of the year. By the way, do you know the first Texan that won rookie of the year?
Oh crap! Was it when they were still? Was it when they were still the Houston Oilers?
I'll give you a hint. It's their head coach right now.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he won Defensive Rookie of the Year back whenever that was.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah,
All right.
not even JJ Watt won Defensive Rookie of the Year with Texans.
Wow.
Yeah, D'Amico Ryans won it back when he was a rookie. So CJ Stroud is the first Texan to win any kind of Rookie of the Year since D'Amico Ryans, back when D'Amico Ryans was a rookie. So CJ Stroud takes home the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year was his teammate, and this is kind of remnant of what happened last year, Matt, when the Jets swept the Defensive and Offensive Rookie of the Year honors with Sauce Gardner and their wide receiver, I forget his name. But, of course, Will Anderson takes home the Defensive Rookie of the Year. He had 45 tackles, 7 sacks on the season. You're probably thinking that's not a lot, but apparently it is for a rookie, and it was good enough for him to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. So the Texans sweep the Rookie of the Year's categories.
I mean, at some point, as bad as they've been, I would hope that they would probably pull something off like that, because they have not been accomplishing anything as of late, and to finally have a draft hit, hey, good for them.
There you go. And then the Cleveland Browns took a lot of hardware home with them as well. Myles Garrett wins Defensive Player of the Year after a 14-sack season. And then Kevin Stefanski, his second Coach of the Year award. He led the Browns to an 11-6 record and a wild card berth, and who eventually lost to the aforementioned Houston Texans in that wild card round. Got absolutely shellacked, by the way, in that wild card round. Speaking of the Cleveland Browns, Shane Falco, not to be confused with Joe Flacco, he wins Comeback Player of the Year. From the couch to the wild card, he throws for 1,616 yards, 13 touchdowns in just 5 games. Notice how I didn't say he also threw like 11 interceptions during that time as well, and then 3 crucial interceptions in that wild card game. But Joe Flacco, I saw a lot of mixed reaction, Nick, to Flacco winning this year, this award this year. A lot of people saying, I don't know how you die, come back to life, and then play football and not win Comeback Player of the Year. I get it, DeMar Hamlin. He doesn't play a whole lot of snaps. Maybe if he played a little more snaps, maybe he would have been considered more. But so a lot of mixed reactions. It's whatever.
There's a fan tie in there too, because I mean, most of us were watching that game when it happened, and so there's still that, like, I watched a man die kind of feeling that a lot of people have, and I get it. But like you said, he doesn't play a lot of snaps, and Flacco picked up a team that needed some help, and somehow, some way, managed to look like the Flacco of old.
Yeah, and he wasn't even there. He was like a 4th option, because they cycled through all of their guys. Deshaun Watson got hurt. The one dude who has 4 names got hurt, and then another dude got hurt. I think they brought back Bernie Kosar. He got hurt. Tim Couch got hurt again. Baker Mayfield was occupied, so he couldn't play. So, he was the 4th guy to play quarterback for them this year, and for him to come all the way back to win Comeback Player of the Year is also pretty cool. And then, of course, Offensive Player of the Year is the jersey hanging behind me. It was Christian McCaffrey. He rushed for over 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns, and those are just his rushing totals. He had a lot more stats to do with that, but Christian McCaffrey was the offensive rookie. Were you kind of, and then obviously Lamar Jackson takes home his second MVP award. Yeah, that's kind of meh, whatever. I'm not a big Lamar Jackson fan, so again, that's just kind of meh to me. Were you, I don't want to say upset, but were you kind of just kind of not shocked? I don't know what the term is I'm looking for, but were you just kind of weirded out, I guess, by Lamar winning another MVP, or were you expecting it?
I was indifferent because I was kind of expecting it. I mean, he did what he normally does, and that's carry his team through the regular season. That's the problem with these awards too. And I get that's what they should do, is they should only consider the regular season. But once again, here we are. Lamar Jackson can't get his team to the big one. He crumbles under pressure. I mean, again, the best completion he had was to himself. So I don't know, it's frustrating because it's a regular season award, but man, you gotta start stepping it up. That's 2 MVPs now you got on your mantle, and you ain't got a ring to show for it.
Yeah, and that's always going to be the criticism for Lamar Jackson. First, the criticism was, he like you just said, he's a good regular season guy, can't get his team through the playoffs, and then they finally get to the conference championship, and then they lay another egg. And like you said, the best pass he had was to himself. So, I mean, once he gets that first ring, I think his legacy will finally be cemented. But
If
that's a big if, and so that's what I think everyone's just kind of waiting for. I mean, 2 MVPs. Let's not get it twisted. That's pretty remarkable. But again, when you have to do everything on your team, those numbers are going to stand out, and they always do during the regular season. But what have you done in the playoffs is always going to be the question for him.
Is he still year by year?
Well, they gave him that big deal, so I don't know.
Oh, he did sign it?
Yeah, he did sign it. And of course, the first thing he said during his MVP acceptance speech was, I'm glad the Ravens got this deal done, which, I mean, do you need to mention that? I mean, you're just kind of throwing them under the bus a little bit. It was a subtle jab, if you will, but I don't necessarily like when guys do that. But, it's whatever, I guess. But again, 2 MVPs is nice on the mantle, like you said. Let's put a ring up there, Lamar, and then maybe you'll be up there. But I mean, did any of these awards surprise you, or were you?
Not really. I mean, everything kind of seemed like it was going to fall into place as it was. Again, I mean, Flacco being the fourth guy to play quarterback for Cleveland, I don't know. They all just seemed about right, though. Stefanski, maybe. There could have been another coach. I mean, yes, the Lions won last year and they made it to the playoffs, but they're a team that's, I think, even better this year than they were last year.
Yeah. And of course, I think Dan Campbell came in second, by the way. So
okay,
there was no, I don't know what the voting tally was, but I heard he came in second. So he wasn't, I guess, too far off. And Lamar Jackson, by the way, was only 1 vote shy of being unanimous. I think Josh Allen got 1 MVP vote.
Wow.
And Lamar got 49 of the 50 you need. So
I wonder who the Buffalo writer was that voted for Josh Allen.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that a guy like McCaffrey didn't get at least 1 as well. But I don't know. It's like a lot of people say, Nick, it should just be called the quarterback award because it's so tough for any other position to get that award.
Yeah, for CMC to get it, he'd have to rush for 2,500 yards, catch another 1,500, have 48 touchdowns rushing,
maybe throw for 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have some quarterback aspect, and I think that's why they started the offensive and defensive players of the year, because those usually go to non-quarterbacks, obviously defensive players, but I think that's why they started that award, because it's a fairly new award. And when I say fairly new, it could be 15 years old by now, but I think it's fairly new because none of these guys were ever in consideration.
No, and I mean, we're kind of spoiled too because we've had a lot of great quarterbacks, from the time we were kids going on. So it does make it a little hard. But like you said, it should just be the quarterback of the year.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see when this award started. But yeah, it is just it. I don't want to say it's biased, but I don't know. I guess it's a kind of an old award. Started in 72, so I guess it's pretty old. But still, it is. But see, like Earl Campbell or Marshall Faulk, they've won it 3 times each because they have never probably ever been in consideration. LaDainian Tomlinson won it in 06. Adrian Peterson won it in 2012. So notice how it's all mostly running backs.
Running backs.
Who've won that award. So there you go. And then the 2024 Pro Football Hall of Fame class was announced as well. And if you're living in Denver, if I had a Gradishar jersey, Nick, I would be hanging that in the background because I took your lead a couple weeks ago, and I had my Helton jersey hanging behind me. So,
copycat. Just kidding.
Yeah, see, it's a copycat league. That's what this is. So Randy Gradishar finally gets in after a 35-year wait, part of that Orange Crush defense, and yeah, so he finally gets in on that senior vote. It was getting close, Nick. It was getting very very close. But another representation for the Broncos in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, it opens the door for other members of the Orange Crush too. Now, there's, or even just those 70s Broncos they were the start of us getting used to having a winning team here. Again, be it what it is, the Super Bowls that they couldn't really handle, but those were the teams that started to turn this into a winning organization and made everything about community and winning. I think you're muted.
Yes, I am muted. Yeah, so Randy Gradishar he's the 14th Bronco, by the way, to be enshrined. And, put that kind of with an asterisk because a lot of these guys played with other teams during their career. But Willie Brown, John Elway, Gary Zimmerman, Floyd Little, Shannon Sharp, Terrell Davis, Brian Dawkins, that's kind of an asterisk. Champ Bailey, Pat Bolin, Steve Atwater, John Lynch, kind of an asterisk. So a lot of guys now with Bronco representation. And it's not like the Baseball Hall of Fame, Nick, where you have to put like a logo on your cap because, when they're up there making their speeches, they have all the team's logos that they played for behind them. You're not really going in as a whatever team you played for. Baseball, you have to put a logo on your cap, I guess. But Jim Leland,
you don't have to.
Yeah, now you don't have to. Before you had to. Jim Leland says, no, I'm not putting a logo on my cap. He should put a Rockies though. He
No, don't get me started on that Jim Leland era.
I mean, he only managed one season, didn't he?
Not even.
Not even, right?
He quit before the
season. He was just over. He was old. He was just like smoking cigars in the dugout. He was.
Hey, you got that? You got that pack of Marlboro sitting next to you. You got to get those heaters out of there.
Yeah. So, I mean, no, I'm just saying, put a Rockies logo on there so the Rockies have more representation. But hey, floodgates are open for the Rockies now. But anyway,
I can see that in about 15 years being nobody.
Yeah. I mean, they're I don't want to go down the baseball rabbit hole, but I'm surprised some guys got as low as votes as they did for the Baseball Hall of Fame. But Randy Gradishar, once again, congratulations to him. Other guys, Dwight Freeney from the Indianapolis Colts gets in. This next guy, I was a little surprised, but not kind of indifferent. But Devin Hester, what do you make on him? I mean, one of the greatest punt and kick returners of all time. And if you remember that 2006 Super Bowl against the Indianapolis Colts, running the kickoff back for a touchdown. As a slight Bears fan, Nick, that was very, very exciting. And then, of course, Peyton Manning comes out and just does what he does. But, I mean, for him to get over guys like Antonio Gates and names like that, I'm happy for him. But that one was a little surprising.
Yeah, he was more of a, like you said, he was more of a returner than anything. And, I mean, his rookie year, 47 returns for 600 yards, kick returns. He was more of a returner than anything. And I don't know, his numbers were good, but he was more flashy. And I think that his numbers were anything. I mean, he had 14 career touchdowns on punt returns and 5 on a kickoff, which is good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we don't see that a whole lot anymore. But
especially since they moved the kickoff spots up 10 yards.
Yeah, but
So it's all, yeah.
I don't know. It's so hard for specialty guys like that. He's the equivalent of a closer, I guess, if we're gonna go in baseball terms, or a relief pitcher. You
I
only
would say
have
relief pitcher, yeah.
You have this little window of your work.
Because closers will have their. I mean, if you have 500 saves, you're getting into the Hall of Fame. Relief pitchers, you don't really have a set category where you got to reach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're just kind of there, and you're just again the fireman. And I'm not trying to go into the baseball rabbit hole either. It was just the best comparison that I could think of a relief pitcher to a punt and kick returner. Again, good for him. He's got great numbers, but did you do enough?
Yeah, and again, I thought Antonio Gates had a lot of steam heading into this, but I guess not. Other guys on this list, the first. How about Texans on a roll, Nick? The first Texan to get into the Hall of Fame, Andre Johnson, the wide receiver, gets in. Julius Peppers gets in, and another guy who kind of was a journeyman towards the end of his career. A lot of his time spent with the Carolina Panthers. He goes to the Bears for a few years, goes to the Packers for a few years. So a Hall of Fame career. This next guy, I wasn't as shocked as I was as Devin Hester, but I thought maybe a few more names could have got in. Patrick Willis was another guy. You were like, is he a first?
Yeah. You're right. It's just another guy that I don't know where they. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, he had a league high 174 tackles 1 year. He had at least 100 tackles in 6 of his 8 seasons. So there kind of goes that longevity as well. 8 seasons. We're seeing a lot of guys who played, 10 or less years are starting to get into the. I mean, Randy Gradishar didn't play that long.
No.
So I don't know. So Patrick Willis was kind of an interesting one for me as well. I'm not knocking any of these guys by any means. And then, of course, we just mentioned Randy Gradishar, the senior vote, and Steve McMichael, another Bear, gets in for the senior vote as well. So that is your 2024 class for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And again, a lot of names I think were kind of. I don't want to say more deserving, but a lot of names I could have seen get in over like a Devin Hester or a Patrick Willis.
And again, the Antonio Gates one is the one that really stands out to me because I don't know if it's because we played against the Broncos so much.
Yeah,
but that's a dude that had a lot of records in San Diego.
All the records, I want to say.
I could have sworn he was he was a great tight end already anyway. It always seemed like it was a battle between him and Shannon Sharpe, who was going to be in the Pro Bowl for the first part of his career.
Yeah, I remember in the AFC East, at one point you had Shannon Sharpe, Antonio Gates, and Tony Gonzalez, three of the best tight ends of all time in one division for a short time because that was near the end of Sharpe's career, kind of the beginning of Gates' career, and towards the end of Gonzalez's career in Kansas City. Obviously, he went on to play in Atlanta for a few years. But, I mean, this AFC West has seen a lot of good tight ends. And since those guys retired, it's really only been Travis Kelce now and in the AFC West to kind of take that tight end mantle from those other guys in the AFC West. So, yeah, so a lot of names, even like Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt. I mean, I could have seen them get in over, an Andre Johnson. At least Reggie Wayne has a Super Bowl victory.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Football seems so weird, though, because other than guys like Gradishar, it seems like no matter what, at some point, you're going to get in.
And that's why I like, to be honest, that's why I like kind of the Baseball Hall of Fame and the Football Hall of Fame, because it is so prestigious. Not a lot. I mean, say what you will about I wasn't going to say the NBA Hall of Fame. It's not even called that. The Pro Basketball Hall of Fame, where, just let everyone in. There's no criteria. There's no voting. Just let everyone in while you're still playing if you want. If you're still coaching if you want. I
Yeah.
mean, hell, let everyone in. Let these assistant coaches in. I had a comment on this one post. It said Rudy Gobert will be a Hall of Famer, and I was like, well, of course he will. They let everyone in.
Yeah. He stepped foot on an NBA court and he made a basket.
Yeah, and
He
he's won a
qualified.
Defensive Player of the Year award. So yeah, let him in.
So frustrating. Then, like, I agree. That's why I enjoy the Baseball Hall of Fame. It gets frustrating, and we all get into really deep arguments about it. But you know what? I'd rather argue about somebody that's not in than argue about somebody that is in.
Yeah, and when the Baseball Hall of Fame was announced, I was telling Matt, I said I was honestly shocked that 3 people got in to the Baseball Hall of Fame, because last year only one guy got in, obviously Scott Rowland. We were all hoping for Helton last year. And then when they were reading the names this year, Nick, they were like, played however many years with one team. And I was like, oh, Todd Helton. But then he said a different, I think it was 15 years, and it was Joe Mauer.
Yeah.
And then they finally got to Helton and said 17 years with one franchise. And that's when I started celebrating. But I was really kind of shocked that 3 people got into the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's again, the writers treat it like a hall, like a legitimate story history hall, as it should be treated. But I think they get a little carried away sometimes, and don't look at it from a true perspective. They look at it from well, this guy kind of snubbed me when I was looking for an interview one day, or this guy treated me like crap, so I'm not going to vote for him. And they let personal feelings get in the way sometimes. Just look at the numbers.
So are you, and again, I guess we're kind of going down the baseball rabbit hole really quick. But one question, because I know you're a baseball guy, so I have to ask. I mean, are you at the point where do we just break down the steroid barrier at this point and let these guys in? Because some of them are going to fall off the ballot out, like Gary Sheffield. I mean, I think he should be a Hall of Famer, but now he's got to go to the, what is it called? The senior
committee
class now. Yeah, veterans.
I battle with this back and forth, because what they did tarnished the game. But the Black Sox aren't in there still. Pete Rose isn't in there still. These guys cheated an entire game for years. But at the same time, the Baseball Hall of Fame is also about preserving history and telling the story of this sport. And you can't tell the story of baseball without the steroid era. You had the dead ball era, you got the live ball era, you got the steroid era, you got the golden era. And at some point, I'm going to collapse, and at least one of them's in there. At least one guy that did steroids is in there. And he's, I'll throw Pudge out there right now. My favorite player. I grew up a Pudge Rodriguez fan, and there's whispers that he did steroids when he was in Texas with Jose Canseco. No true proof other than what's been reported by Canseco. But David Ortiz, there was whispers of him. At some point, they're gonna get in, because the new generation's coming up and they don't remember the steroids; they remember the home runs.
Yeah, because if you're telling the story of baseball, do you have to have the all-time leader in hits and the all-time leader in home runs in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, you kind of
obviously that's Pete Rose and Barry Bonds, and Barry Bonds is going to, and he might slide. It might have to slide into that veterans, and then it's risky after that.
Yeah,
and I mean, there's no pun intended or not. There's no beating around the bush. He was a dick to the media.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, I mean that's another red flag against him too.
Well, and I don't think he ever actually allowed his likeness to be in the games either.
Never, yeah.
If I remember correctly, MLB The Show, he never was in there because he didn't allow his likeness to be in there because he was a good money.
Yeah, and even the old basketball games, Jordan wasn't in there too. It was there's some random white guy sometimes.
Oh man,
it was Jordan's.
That's funny. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
At some point they're gonna get in. Pete Rose, I hate to
I
say
think, I
it,
think,
after he
yeah,
died.
I think they're going to. I think if anybody gets in first, it's going to be Pete Rose, and not because he's, I guess, due, but because with all of, and again, this is just my personal opinion, with all the betting that happens in today's sports,
Yeah.
I think, and let's face it, every commercial you see with no matter what sport it is, it's brought to you by FanDuel, brought to you by DraftKings,
DraftKings.
brought to you by whatever, brought
Yeah.
to you by all these different betting apps. Yet players still can't bet on a game.
Yeah. Well, and then when the Oakland A's moved to Las Vegas and their stadium's across the street from the MGM Grand,
Yeah,
there's one more right there. And I mean, if you're gonna split hairs at this point with Pete Rose, put him in as a player, don't put him in as a manager.
yeah, because he did it as a manager.
Yeah.
So I mean, he wasn't that great as a manager. So I mean, it was only for a few years. So yeah, I like that idea. So all right,
All right. So
yes, I had to go down a little bit because I always like getting other people's opinions on the Hall of Fames because I like the prestigious ones. I like the football and I like the baseball. Hockey's all right. I mean, it doesn't get a lot of glorification, but there's only 4 or 5 guys who get in every year. I honestly don't know what the process is to get in. I know every sport you have to be retired for a certain amount of years, except if you're a basketball coach, because somebody like Greg Popovich got in last year and he's still coaching.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I guess that doesn't matter. But
Wow.
yeah, so I know each sport you have to be retired for a certain amount of years, but besides that, basketball is just, lack of a better term, it's a joke of a Hall of Fame because just everyone gets in.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah, so as we look towards the big game later today, Nick, obviously the Chiefs and the Super Bowl. Your first, who do you want? I mean, I guess who do you want to win? Who do you think's gonna win? I'm sick of the Chiefs. As a AFC West fan, Nick, I don't mind Mahomes. Like I like Mahomes. I don't mind Kelsey. I think New Heights podcast is hilarious. I like him and his brother together. They're funny. I don't care that they show Taylor Swift 100 times games. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about Patrick Mahomes' wife. His brother's an idiot. I just don't care about all the side stories. And, a lot of people are saying, oh, it's ruining football. I'm like, who cares? Like,
it's ruining you.
Yeah.
They're living rent-free in your dome right now.
Yeah. Like, who cares? Like, again, when they showed Taylor Swift, I forgot what game it was, and you could read her lips. It said "Go away" because she was watching herself on the CBS TV broadcast on the TV in the suite they were in. She said "Go away," and I'm just kind of like, I mean, you guys kind of brought this upon yourselves by dating. I mean, too high profile. I mean, we don't watch all of Green Bay's games, but every time Green Bay's on a national broadcast, they're always showing Simone Biles, so it's everywhere. But yeah, I don't care about all the side stories. It's whatever. But who are you leaning towards?
I'm leaning towards San Francisco for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a revenge game for them. I've seen a couple videos after the Chiefs won last time against San Francisco. One of them was George Kittle standing there on the sidelines. We'll be back here, and we're going to take it. And so he watched that celebration, and he was pissed. So I think those guys that were there know that feeling now, and don't want to live it again. And add to that, the Chiefs are going to come in, and they're going to be the Chiefs. If they play like they've been so unpredictable this year that it's going to play against them. And it's going to hurt them because 1 minute Travis Kelce is a Pro Bowler, and next thing you know, the guy can't catch a cold. It's so weird how inconsistent that team has been. I know, right?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards San Fran as well. Again, I don't mind Andy Reid. I don't mind Mahomes. I don't mind Kelsey. I don't care that they show Taylor Swift, but I am wanting and leaning towards San Francisco, although I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas City just ran away with things. And this was cool too. Obviously, San Francisco has a lot of Colorado connections. And, obviously, Kyle Shanahan is the son of former Broncos coach Mike Shanahan. Christian McCaffrey is the son of former Broncos receiver Ed McCaffrey. And their quarterback coach is Brian Griese, former quarterback of the Denver Broncos, and Anthony Lynn, who was actually a third-string running back on the Denver Broncos when they won Super Bowl. He was on both back-to-back teams. So
I think he was, yeah.
Yeah. So he won 2 Super Bowls as a Broncos running back. He is San Francisco's assistant coach and running back coach. So a lot of ties to Colorado as well. So at least that's exciting for me. And I'm sure a lot of people in Colorado, obviously you see the jersey behind me. Christian McCaffrey went to high school, born and raised in Colorado, terrific career at Stanford as well. And I don't know if you saw his Offensive Player of the Year award acceptance speech. He said, you know what, San Francisco took a huge gamble on me making that trade, last year, coming off a big injury in Carolina. A lot of people thought, Nate, man, he might be done. And he just goes off on a tear in San Fran. So good for him to see. I mean, he could have – did he win? I want to say he won Comeback Player of the Year last year, but I don't think he did. But he could have.
I don't remember. I don't think he did, but he may have. He's perfect for that West Coast offense, though, that Kyle runs. Kyle grew up with that West Coast offense thanks to his dad and, the Shanahan coaching tree. So to have a powerful running back like that that has multi-purpose abilities, that's just a perfect weapon for him to have. And that the thing about the Chiefs is they don't have a multifaceted player. They have Travis Kelce who can catch, and they have Isaiah Pacheco who can run. So one or the other, whereas you can put McCaffrey, you can spread him out, you can throw him in the slot, throw him in the pistol, whatever. And you really have to make sure you maintain CMC, because once that dude starts running, he runs angry.
He does, yeah. And he runs fierce and hard. And it is just – it's exciting to see that offense, like, when they're – I mean, you're going to have 2 very good Hall of Fame tight ends go up against each other, Kittle and Kelce. And, yeah, it is going to be fun. So, I don't know if you saw what Cam Newton said about Brock Purdy. I'm sick of Cam Newton as well.
Cam Newton's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, like, ever since you gave up on a ball in the Super Bowl, you're done. Like,
yeah.
And I like Brock Purdy's response, and he said, I forgot what he said, but I guess we'll have to see. I'm in the Super Bowl and you're not, or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, ever since Cam Newton didn't die for a ball in Super Bowl 50.
Yeah, the Broncos broke him.
Yeah. Broncos definitely broke Cam Newton out, and he's still running his mouth. I don't know if he's doing it for clicks or cameras, but
cameras with that 4-letter.
Yeah, and then they brought him on TV. I'm like, dude, stop giving this guy just stop giving him a chance to have his voice heard, because he's not making any sense.
No.
So just go away, Cam Newton. And if you still could play, you're falling into almost that spot where you're just not good enough to play anymore. If you were good enough to play, you'd be on a team.
Let's see here. He is 34 years old.
Yeah, he's done.
So, yeah, he's beyond his prime at that point. Well, I mean, he was beyond his prime at Super Bowl 50.
Yeah. Yeah, he went through his prime and on the downward slope throughout that game.
Yeah. And it was a quick slide too, almost like an avalanche.
Yeah, Everson, yeah. He won MVP that year, surprisingly, and then just took a crap during the Super Bowl, which consequently was in Santa Clara, where the San Francisco 49ers play.
Yeah, it was.
So yeah, I'm leaning towards the 49ers. Some of the funny prop bets you can make. Obviously, the obvious one is, how many times are they going to show Taylor Swift? The over under is at 8 times.
I'd take the over.
You
If
go the
Kansas City's
over?
winning, I'd take the over.
Yeah, and that one's kind of hard because it almost depends on how well Kansas City's doing, and more specifically, if Travis Kelce makes a catch or not.
Yeah.
I mean, so that one's kind of tough, to be honest with you. I don't know. That one. Oof. That one's hard.
Yeah.
That one's hard. Over under on how many times they show the Mahomes suite, which is kind of the Taylor Swift seat, because now apparently Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift are BFF. So I think they're in the same suite a lot of the time.
Oh, Lord. What are we going to do?
Well, and especially now because she's going to be a model in the new Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue.
I forgot.
So that is going to play a factor.
And Sports Illustrated wonders why they're going out of business.
Yeah, do they still have magazines, or is it all online?
No, they still have magazines because I do get it still.
Oh. Yeah, there you go. All right, over under on how many times they show Claire Kittle. And that is at 4.
I'd go under.
She's making a push though. She's making a push of popular wives because not only is she very stunning, but I guess she's known for like fashion and stuff like that. So I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff she's wore, like custom made jackets that say Kittle on them. She had some weird bird pants jeans in the NFC title game. They were like jeans with a bunch of feathers on them. That was kind of weird, but whatever. So yeah, she's making a push to Brittany Mahomes status. So that'll be interesting to see. All right, how many times is Mike Shanahan going to make an appearance? Over under is set at 3.
Under
3.
I think.
Will he be there?
I don't. That's the other. That's actually where my head was going. That's why I didn't think they were going to show him.
I mean, I would assume he'd be there,
unless it's like foul footage.
Yeah,
I didn't see Shanahan making his presence known because it's not his day.
Yeah, I see if the over under is 3. Like you picked 1, right? Maybe one time if he's there.
Yeah,
I would say 1. Yeah, but again, a lot of these have to do with how well these teams are doing, and they're going to have who's doing the game tomorrow? Is it CBS or is it Fox or?
Fox.
I was going to say is it Joe Buck, but he's not at Fox anymore. So is it Tony Romo and no, he's CBS. Who's their main Fox guys? Is it it's Greg Olson and
oh yeah, it's
I forgot his name. Kevin something.
Kevin Harlan?
No, he does the radio.
No.
It is the CBS. Okay. But Kevin Burkhardt is Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson are the top team at Fox. So
yeah.
All right, Mike Shanahan over under is 3. Ed McCaffrey over under on 2. Again, is he going to be there? I would assume he'd be there.
He's going to be there. Well, I mean, Lisa will be there for sure. I don't know about Ed. Ed might hide himself in the back of the suite. So I'm going to go under.
So less than 1 or less times.
Yeah, we'll see him, but I don't think they'll see him. So they put the camera on that suite. You see Lisa
like, who's that?
And then there's like this shadowy figure looming in the back that's Ed McCaffrey.
Yeah. And a lot of these obviously are what we kind of touched on the Colorado connections as well. That's basically it. There was and again, they might do who knows if they do I doubt they'll like even really talk about Brian Greasy or anything like that, but he's not even on these prop bets. Most of it has to do with like celebrities, parents, stuff like that. Here's another funny one. How many times will Jason Kelce come out of the suite again?
I
think he's done with that. I don't know if his wife is too happy about that. The over-under is at 1, by the way, and so that might be a push.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Yeah, he got himself in trouble last time. That was pretty funny, though.
Yeah.
Again, when he explained it on their podcast, that dude's my spirit animal.
Yeah, they're funny together.
Oh, forgot this one. Speaking of wives, over under on Kylie Kelsey, and it is set at 4. I don't know why she would be showing a whole lot.
I don't either. I mean, unless Jason's being Jason again.
Yeah, that's again what it's tied to.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling they're all going to be in the same suite. Brittany Mahomes, Jason Kelsey, Kylie Kelsey, Taylor Swift. I have a feeling they'd all be in the same suite. I almost said same Swift. Almost in the same suite.
I would think so too.
I would take the under on that, but
I would too. Yeah. Again, like you said, it's just all dependent on who's winning.
Yeah, and who's making plays.
Yeah.
So, just a couple other things before we get out of here. Who's throwing more yards tomorrow? Is it Brock Purdy or is it Patrick Mahomes? Let me pull up the passing yards. So, over under for both. Over under for Patrick Mahomes 260.5. Brock Purdy 246.5.
Mahomes over, Purdy under.
So Purdy under 246. All right, over under TDs. Both of them are set at TD and a half.
Over on both.
Over on both. All right, rushing yards. CMC is set at over or under 89.5. Pacheco set at 67.5.
I think both are over.
Yeah, I was kind of leaning towards that way as well. Tight end receiving yards. Kelsey set at 72.5. Kittle's at 49.5.
Kittle will be over, Kelsey under.
Kelsey under 72?
Yeah.
How about
a lot of short passes lately?
How about some not awkward ones, but some special ones? Deebo Samuel 58.5. Christian McCaffrey 33.5 receiving yards.
Christian over, Deebo over.
All righty, there you go. What does Kelsey like to say? All right now. All right, Kelsey over under 6.5 catches.
Over.
Kittle over 3.5 catch. Over under 3.5.
Over.
All right. And then just some interesting ones. CMC over under 4.5 catches.
Under.
Under 4.5. That's interesting.
Yeah, 4.
4 catches for over. It's got to be for over 33.5 yards, though.
He's been finding some spots, so we'll see.
There you go. All right. That is some of the over-unders that are placed right now. And again, those lines and numbers could change as we move throughout the day today as we lead up to, once again, Super Bowl 58. But that's going to do it for us here on the Wheelhouse. I want to thank Nick Archuleta for joining me this morning. Once again, this podcast is brought to you by Pikes Peak Sports Cards. Go visit them down in Colorado Springs if you are in Colorado near the Springs. Go visit them. They just had a big sports show, card show this weekend. So go check them out down in the Springs. Once again, go to all of our social media pages as well, like the E5280 Sports and Lifestyle page on Facebook. Like us all on Instagram at Elevation 5280 Radio. You can catch Nick on there at Nick Arch. I'm at Sports Junkie 25. Follow us on the X Machine at 5280 Sports Radio. You can follow Nick at Arch 2617. Follow me at Michael Spillin and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, which is the same as the Twitter one at 5280 Sports Radio. You can always comment or leave a text during some of our live videos, 720-375-2341. Nick, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. It's always fun to come on with you. Kick around a little more knowledge than some of those other guys that I work with, those goofy guys.
Yeah, I know. All right, that's going to do it for us here. Until next week. For Nick, I am Michael. We will see you next week.